This is Jackie Weisfield. I'm presenting for Module 5, Understanding the Englewood Community. So I did a sociological inventory, and in that sociological inventory found that most of the families in Englewood are blue-collar families. They're really family-oriented. They have several areas where families are really engaged. So they have an Englewood Festival that was really family oriented for a long time. It's now become the Englewood Block Party. They have an Englewood Rec Center that offers discounts when you add additional members of your family. So also wanting to get all families in there participating in the rec center. And they created a water park called Pirates Cove, and that's where most of the kids hang out all summer long. Englewood is situated just south of Denver. It's currently shifting in its demographics because of the growth that Denver is experiencing. Things tend to be a lot more, at least housing tends to be a lot more affordable in Englewood than it is in Denver, and so you see this shift of people moving to Englewood because they can't afford to live in Denver. It is a small town near the big city. It's one of the few districts that's allowed to remain small in the state of Colorado. There are 3. I have worked in 2 of them, and Englewood is one of the ones that has just not been adopted by the county that it resides in and doesn't want to be. And so they just kind of let it alone and let it be. Because it's a small town near the big city, a lot of things travel via word of mouth, via Facebook. Everyone knows everyone else. Kids can't get away with things the way that they maybe can in big cities. It's also not uncommon to be eating at a restaurant with a member of the school board or a city council member sitting 2 tables away from you. So it's a very local leadership structure. The customs and traditions, again, like they emphasize family, they emphasize meeting your neighbors, being a community. It's a very welcoming community, so there are very limited social tensions. There are, it doesn't matter if you're gay, straight, transgender, if you are black, brown, purple with green spots. Englewood has always been a very transient community, and so because of that has this idea of you are coming into our community, we're going to welcome you into our community because we want to see what you have to offer. Englewood actually started as a gold rush town, and so change is constant in Englewood. Nobody has quite ever settled in there. The community members are very active in the community. Like I said, the rec center is a big thing. There has been a shift in the race and ethnicity of Englewood in the past 9 years from 15% minority to 50% minority. So that is really making a change in the dynamics in Englewood right now. The school board determines the curriculum. The school board and city council tend to have the more educated population. Though the school board also, in addition to having an educated population, also has parents of current students or former students, is usually the makeup of the school board. And the city council tends to be more business members or business owners. The characteristics of the population, 90+% have a high school diploma or higher. Almost 38% have a bachelor's degree or higher. 17% are minors, 13% are seniors, so the other 70% are really those people who are coming in, buying houses and working and owning businesses, all of those types of things. The gender split is 50-50, which I thought was really interesting because usually there's at least a slight variance of a percentage or 2, but it was 50-50. The employment is varied. You can see in the graphic on the right. There's management, there's service, there's production and transportation, there's natural resources and construction, there's sales. So really, it's a very diverse business community as well. The shift from 15% minority to 50% minority is primarily due to an increase in the Latino and Latina population. which means there's also an increase in the number of non-native English speakers that are coming into the population as well. The communication, the ways that the community as a whole communicates is really Facebook, Facebook, Facebook. The schools communicate via Facebook, the kids, the parents, the city itself communicates via Facebook. Everything is electronic and more Facebook than it is Twitter or Instagram or any of those types of social media apps. The Englewood Herald is a long-standing community newspaper, comes out weekly. A lot of people find out information through the Nextdoor app or through word of mouth, and also through the City of Englewood website. The community groups that support the school and the community of Englewood: Pirate Youth Sports, which came out of the rec center sports teams. The rec center decided they couldn't afford to continue, and so they formed Pirate Youth Sports that is supported and supports our middle school sports teams. The school board, the city council, the Cultural Arts Commission. Then there are several church groups. The most active one is the Mosaic Church, and it welcomes everyone. There are sermons, but it's not, it's more of a community gathering place than it is with, a religious backing, but not necessarily any specific religious backing. The Englewood Education Foundation has been huge in supporting the schools and is an active member in the community. And the School Accountability Committee really supports our schools as well. The leadership in Englewood really comes from those boards that I talked about a little bit earlier. So the school board members, the city council members, and the city manager are the top three. The city manager probably has the most power out of all of those organizations. And then there was a Cultural Arts Commission that was put together a few years ago, and they kind of just formed themselves and are a little entity of themselves. Our city manager was just elected in August of this year, or hired in August of this year, and so he's just getting his feet under him right now, and will be making more of a presence of himself in the upcoming weeks. The characteristics of these leaders, most of them have a bachelor's degree or higher. They are all neighbors. Every single one of those people lives in the community, not formerly, but currently. There's a strong female representation on those boards, and the mayor is much more of a figurehead than it is a power position. Like I said, the city manager tends to be that power position. What it's viewed as in the community is that you, as a member of the school board, are using the school board as a springboard to becoming a city council member. And so there seems to be this idea that there's that trajectory, though that may or may not be true. Economically, there's 2.8% unemployment in Englewood. 7% of the families are considered homeless. There's a balance between home ownership and rentals for that 93%. It's almost 50-50. There's a slightly higher percentage of home ownership over rentals. The median home price is $266,000. That is definitely going up. That was 2 years ago, and I talked to several people who said that there are homes in their neighborhoods in Englewood going for over $400,000 at this point. There are more jobs than residents available to fill them. Most people commute to other cities for work, but live in Englewood. Again, it's affordable, and they have that really small town community feel. And a little over 15% of residents live at or below the poverty line. So there's a huge gap in socioeconomics as well. The political structure, the schools are funded from the national, state, and county level. They're not funded locally beyond the county, so they don't have a city portion. They have some of the lowest property values in the county, which means that the county's not getting a lot of money for Englewood Public Schools. The City Council has no plans to be involved in education in the next 2 years. City Council is nonpartisan, and those committees tend to be very compartmentalized. That the school board is in one place, and the City Council is in another place, and you stay in your lane, and we'll stay in our lane, and we just do what we do. Social tensions, there are few social tensions, but there are some. There's a known group of residents who voice discriminatory opinions. They're largely ignored by the rest of the community, and those who are discriminated against are protected by the other residents. The other residents kind of come to their defense and come to, I don't want to say their rescue, but they support the people who are being discriminated against, and they're not standing by themselves. There are some gang affiliations, though it's not extensive. Drugs are probably the largest portion of our crime, but they are also theft is very, very big in Englewood. So there are the extra sources of information that I have gone to and that others can go to if you are interested in moving to Englewood. The City of Englewood website has a ton of information. It is extraordinary for community members. Tri-County Health Department, the Interfaith Community Services for families who are struggling. If you want to find out more about the political dealings in the city, you go to the City Council meetings or the school board meetings, and the minutes are linked as well. The power structures. So there's a strong connection between the school board and the City Council. Power positions are held predominantly by Caucasian men, and the visible positions are held predominantly by women, which I think is very interesting. And higher education is an unwritten rule. In terms of multicultural issues, language is becoming more of an issue because of that shift in minority status. And then the dress code has been changed recently because of multicultural issues. So they've started allowing do-rags and bandanas and head coverings. And the language has shifted in the dress code at the school to professional attire so that it's not outlawing anything based on a cultural stereotype. And then another challenge that we've had is recruiting staff that represents the changing community. One way that we're dealing with that is recognizing the shortcomings and working to address them, using the community to help educate ourselves and other people in the community, and we're trying to reverse those power dynamics and really focus on mutual respect. So the way that we've measured public opinion is yearly parent surveys, public school board meetings, public city council meetings, informal conversations. And then any public opinion surveys would be, again, focused on those parent questionnaires, but there's nothing specifically for the community as a whole. If there are issues in the community, Englewood Police Department hears about it, brings it to us. They may come up at school board meetings, but really public opinion is not something that the district has focused on as a whole. So I hope that gives you a little bit of insight into Englewood Public Schools. Thank you for listening.